Welcome to devlog number 7. It's been, once again, a pretty long while. I'm pretty terrible at promoting just the game, the company, and everything. I think that one's been, 6 months since the last one, and streaming pretty much the same. We're gonna get around to that. So what have I been doing? Well, last time I spoke, we were launching a Kickstarter. And, well, I learned a lot about Kickstarter and how it actually works, opposed to what I thought was a Kickstarter. And, so basically the Kickstarter did not go through, unfortunately. But, honestly, by the time I clicked go, for it to go live, I already knew it was going to fail. So, no hearts broken here. So the Kickstarter not actually going through, what does that mean for the game? Well, actually, not that much. The Kickstarter was really there for me to hire people, to get, artists on board to make the project look better and feel better. So not having a Kickstarter is unfortunate, but it's not really a problem in terms of, delivering the project. We're actually, as I said, making some really good progress and getting near the end line. So now that aside, what have I actually been doing for the last 6 months, aside from not promoting the game? Well, mostly working on polishing and really fixing everything up for the release. We are really almost done in terms of features and mechanics for the initial release. We are still lacking, a boss or two, but most of the stuff is there. The mechanics, the quests, all the weapons, the passives, the actives, all of those are pretty much done. So right now it's really a matter of, playing through the game, finding the, last few bugs that are here and there, and making it feel better. So one of the key example I can give you is that we reworked a lot of stuff in the first world. Added some destructible objects, and, we'll get to that later. But essentially, I've been working for the last 6 months on making the game polished. We even have been distributing keys for certain streamers or YouTubers for them to play the game, kind of, do a bit of marketing for us, but mostly getting feedback, because those are really small-time YouTubers, people with, as much subscribers as I currently have on this channel, so not big YouTubers of any kind. But these people have been playing through the game, and for me to be able to watch them and pick out some of the stuff that maybe they found either annoying or not clear or whatever. So really, the last 6 months was polishing and making the experience really feel great. One of the key features that we are still lacking, I've not really made any progress in the last 6 months, is for porting to consoles. So we have the dev kit, we have tried the game and it actually runs well on the Xbox, but we've not made any progress in terms of PlayStation or the next Switch or whatever. And we've not really touched anything because what I need to do is change the entire online subsystem. So basically the entire thing for people to be able to connect to each other. Right now we are using Steam as a platform, and I do want to keep that in, but we do need another system in there to be able to connect everyone, because we do want to support crossplay as well. So we're gonna have to take like a good 2 months at some point to shift to the Epic Online subsystem, so EOS, at least for the back end, to be able to connect players together. That is something I, to be frank, don't want to do, but I'll have to do at some point. But anyways, I've been rambling for quite a little while. Let's jump into the Last Citadel, see what I've actually been working on, and we'll try to make it quick, because, 6 months can dance in like 10-ish minutes, especially if I ramble like this. Complex. Let's go. So, what have I been doing? Well, I have a list, and I'm probably going to read off of it, because I have too many things to kind of say and remember. First thing is, of course, just the polish. It's kind of hard to show. You kind of have to play it for yourself, so you're going to get the chance eventually with the demo, and of course the full game. But I have made a lot of small changes regarding the way that the hits feel and how recoil is felt when you fire. There's some minor adjustments, such as an IK system for the hand placement for the weapons, and yeah, just an overall polish pass on a lot of stuff. Some bigger changes though include some enemy rework as well. So for example, the Legion commander, so this big lad here, has had an entire new moveset added to his kit. So the two issues that stem from it is, the first one, he is very slow. He's a slow enemy, and the goal is that he is buffing all the enemies around him so that they do more damage, and they also have some weak spot resistance. But himself is so slow that he was not really, posing any threat. So what I added is I gave him the option to throw his cleaver. So if I jump in, he's probably going to do it from the get-go. There we go. So he can throw his cleaver and catch it back. He's still going to do some walk cycle and everything, and he's, fairly similar to what he used to be in terms of, damage and health. He's a bit faster than he was, but if he is too far from you, he's going to throw his cleaver, trying to get you. And it does a lot of damage, so you really want to, dodge that. But just hiding that will make him, more of a threat. The second one is the Archfiend. So this guy here, he was there to, well, he's still there to curse players. So he has a bunch of different curses that he can bestow upon players. Stuff like, leeching their ammo, reducing their eyesight, basically putting them in like a small bubble, inverting controllers, etc. But the thing is, he had two issues. The main one is that he did not have a proper behavior tree in terms of he had too many delays between each of his actions. So he would just like stand there and do nothing for a while. And the second one is he had no means to actually defend himself. So we added an attack. So basically, he's probably going to do that from the get-go. Yes. So pentagram, and then shoot a bunch of energy spheres. So not a big change, not a huge attack, but it does a lot of damage. But just reworking the behavior all around does make him a lot more of a threat. And those orbs you really don't want to mess with. So that's the first change. The second one is I added a loop system. So when you are at the last level, so the World 3 Act 2, normally you would just end that level and then proceed to the final boss. But now I added a system that will enable players to decide if they want to do an extra loop. So re-going through the entire 6 stages with their full gear, so they're not going to reset anything, and the enemies are still going to keep scaling up. And the loop system looks a bit like, let me find it right here at the end, like this. So this little machine here, when you're going to activate it, it's going to enable you to basically restart from the start, World 1 Act 1, and still maintaining everything that you have and building upon it. So by the time that you reach World 3 Act 2, you're going to be super powerful, but the enemies are going to be extremely powerful as well. And all the bosses are going to scale with that, of course, as well. We also did some major improvement with controller support, not only for all of the menus, reworking a lot of them, but also for just when you're playing the game. So we had a couple of issues when people were playing the game. The main things were the thumbstick buttons that were previously set to zooming in and out, which was a terrible idea. That's on me. But the second thing, is that controllers are not great for aiming. In general, you can still play some shooters, and it does play well now, but most shooters will give you a bit of aim assist. So that's what I added. I have a bit of aim assist. You can see it basically if I move it and release, you're going to see it pan back into the enemy. So it's not really just correcting the way that you shoot, it's actually going to correct your aim altogether. It is not super strong because I'm not a huge fan of aim assist in general. Usually I personally turn them off most of the time, and you can still turn it off if you want, but when you're going to use a controller, it's automatically going to be turned on the first time that you're going to load the game, and it works great. You can still do some minor adjustments to headshot and do stuff like that, and all the menus are now fully functional using the controller, both in the run and outside when you're going to customize or buy new stuff. So the controller is mostly done. There is still one menu that is still doing a bit of, I still need to rework it basically, the color selection one, but aside from that, controller works great. Other thing is, aside from reworking some enemies, I actually reworked some bosses as well. I do not want to spoil it during this devlog, so we've been reworking on both the arena and mostly the mechanics, so the bosses will feel pretty different from the last time if you got a chance to play against him. The bigger changes are going to be done to the Void Seeker, so the boss that is currently in the demo. It is still, what I'm currently working on, so there's still some stuff to be finished, but he's gonna have a bunch new attacks and a bunch of new stuff that's gonna be super fun to get yourself killed on. So yeah, big rework for all of the bosses. Another thing is I added some specific mechanics for bosses on the Raider difficulty. So if, for the guys who, the people who play the game, if you tried the Raider difficulty, one of the items that were listed in the differences was that Raider difficulty would unlock additional mechanics for bosses, which is mostly 1 or 2 attacks, and those have now been implemented in all of the bosses that are currently in the game, and they will come for the other ones afterwards. So new mechanics, like hidden mechanics, if I can say, for Raider difficulty. Another thing is I added an option, well, not an option, an attack that will be super useful for all different builds and all different players. And what that thing is super simple. It's a melee bash. So if I press either on my mouse or on my keyboard the letter V, or my mouse like 4 button, you're gonna see I have a small melee bash. That was, I kind of tilted there. Let me show you again. Boom. Okay. And what does that do? Well, it's a melee attack, a strong melee attack, but it also knocks back the enemies that it hits. So if it doesn't kill them, it's going to knock them back. So you can see with these guys here, I can boom, and he's going to be stunned. The goal of that is really to give something to kind of give you a chance. So when the thing that I've noticed a lot is people, when enemies are getting like very close to them, they kind of panic. So they kind of shoot all over the place. And because the enemies are fairly fast, especially at higher difficulties, they kind of need an extra option. You already have the dash that you can use, but now you have a second one that has a pretty long cooldown, but it will deal some damage, knock them back, and will give you a chance to retaliate. Another thing regarding the ability system that has been added, amongst a bunch of other stuff, is the option to change the ability cast type. So you see a lot of games using those systems similar to like League of Legends or stuff like that, where you have some bindings that you can set for different abilities. I have a bit of a simpler system. It's not as deep as something like League of Legends, but basically you can choose between either an insta-cast, a normal cast, or a smart cast, which is basically a press and hold to prepare your spell, and then when you want to cast it, just release the number on your keyboard. So you don't have to confirm the cast with a click on the key on the mouse. You can just basically insta-cast if you just press the button, or you can hold it, place it, release. So you have that option along with insta-casts and normal casts. And those are one of the options that you can change, but there's actually a bunch of new options that you'll be able to customize as well to really make, you know, the experience as smooth for you as possible. There's a bunch of other small changes that have been done, but I'm not going to go through all of them because it's going to take a while, but I'll just read them off of my list here. So there's other small things like abandoning a quest. So if you press here, click abandon, you can quit out and you're going to see your stats and all of your stuff like if you did the expedition failed. There's some on-screen tutorials, which was one of the big concerns because seeing people play the game that are not, you know, followers or have not seen some dev stream or whatever, one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of things are not super intuitive. For example, charge up weapons. I can probably pick one up if I spawn one. Let's see. So, for example, the anomaly cannon. So you have the cursor that charged up. Oh, and yeah, the cursor has been changed as well. But it was not clear that how like charge up weapon actually works. So now the first time that you're gonna pick one up, or, you know, stuff like, you know, curse weapons, you're gonna get a small on-screen tutorial. So I don't want to do a full-blown tutorial. I think that's not necessary, but you're gonna get that. You're also gonna have a new weapon, a new melee weapon, which is called the Star Render, that has a secondary ability like all of them, but this one is a projectile, like a fire beam. It's pretty neat. You're gonna have some differentiate, some color coding to differentiate between modifiers and effects. So modifiers are now in, oh yeah, that's, hold on, let me Let me drop those because my face is in the way. There we go. So you're gonna get modifiers, so the ones that are like permanent and always on are gonna be in green, and then effects that have a chance to happen are gonna be in purple. Same goes for their respective menu, where you're gonna put one. It's very clear now what is what. Also added some options for when you're playing multiplayer. Among those options is that little screen at the top right, so I can now kick a player or trade, so give him crystal. If I take damage, I'm gonna have an indicator to show where that damage is coming from. Of course, for melee, it's not super useful, but for range enemies, it's very useful. You can see, ammo count on other players as well. So if you look again at the other player at the top left, well, his name is not loading, of course I'm not on Steam, but you can see a little icon there that kind of looks like a birthday cake. I might have to change that. It's actually a box of ammo with 3 ammo on top. Is going to indicate my ammo count. So if I shoot, that weapon's going to take some while to empty out, but basically that icon is going to get yellow when it's mid and red when he's very low. Similar to what you would see in Dark Tide, so a recent game. There you go, it just turned yellow. Aside from that, I added some Destructible in World 1. We're actually currently reworking a lot of stuff in World 1 to give it a bit more life, because the later stages, I was, a bit more accustomed to how I wanted to make the modules and everything feel. So the, stage, well, World 2 and World 3 were kind of better designed. So I went back to World 1 and kind of gave it a bit more life. Still working on that. Added some slots for the loadouts. What am I forgetting? Some new passives, some new emotes, a bunch of new emotes actually. Previously we had like 8, I think, and now we have a bunch. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that's 12, that's 18, 22. So 22 new emotes, well, not all of them new. Anyways, and if I'm reading here quickly, yeah, that's most of the bigger changes. So that's nothing as big as like a new world, but a lot was done to make everything feel pristine and, give it some polish. And that is still what we're going to do for the next couple of months, adding in those last few features, which I can show you. That Trello is public. You can see the to-test zone is pretty freaking huge. Those are actually all tested. I can shift them. I'm just bad at organizing. But you can see features here, not a whole lot. I have 2 bosses left to do. The Voidseeker V2 is pretty much done. We want to do one more suit. We want to change to the EOS system, as I mentioned. I want to add the looping for the demo. So before I publish the new demo, I'm going to do that. And a bit, a couple of other stuff. And yeah, we're getting very close to the end. And that is it. So as you can see, lots was actually done. Even new features. Rereading the list, I was kind of surprised myself on how many features I actually worked on for the last couple of months. But yeah, so lots to have been worked on. And now what are we going to do for the next 2-3 months is really pushing that out to the public. So not really releasing the game, but we want to update the demo with the new Voidseeker and all of the polish and quality of life and all of the stuff that was mentioned. I want to start streaming again. It's kind of complex trying not to spoil some stuff with the streams, because now I'm very near the end of the game. I don't have a whole lot to show on stream. It's mostly development stuff or, polishing, debugging, stuff like that. And the debugging is not super interesting to watch, so I try to do new features when I stream. And since I have just like 2 bosses left to do, and one of them is the final boss, I kind of don't want to show that on stream. But I'll manage something for sure. It's gonna get into my weeklies. It's gonna get into my schedule, and I'm gonna start streaming again. And yeah, maybe try to do a bit more promotion. That is really the key right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyways, thank you for watching, and see you in hopefully less than 6 months. Take care.